Oh, okay. What's that?
Look how incredible they are. There was one actually like inching up on the side. See what? Just got touched their tail.
There's two of them in there. I think he's a rock lobster.
Another one up there. And another one. Look at him come. I'm trying to get this fish. Is he swimming? It looks like it has a mouth.
It's a robust red horse suckerfish. Were thought to be extinct in Georgia until they were rediscovered in 1991.
No, there's a show up on the second floor, but this is just a...
Let's go look at it.
It's like picking up stuff and then throwing it back down. I think it's kind of looks sweet, Yep. Get a picture of the turtle?
Like, two turtles. Crocodile's not moving. Why the crocodile's not moving?
So look up. Look up.
He's posing for you. He's posing for you.
Whoa, what's this? Crocodile. Awesome. Crocodile.
Alligators.
Is that a crocodile or alligator?
These are alligators, American alligators.
Cool. That crocodile's looking at you. How could they catch an alligator? Looking at you. Turtle.
These come from an alligator farm.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, they're all over the place. I like your
Just sleeping in this.
I was fixing to say that. I was like,
Wow. There's a sea snake down. Look, a sea snake.
Oh, there's that eel. It's called a eel.
Seal. Oh, look up.
That's the electric. Oh, try another one.
Oh, it is. So we're here to look at the otters.
In the building, and we test the hormone levels. So I promise you will all know if she becomes pregnant, because A, you'll see it on our website, and B, I have a feeling there's a small company right up the road called CNN. I think the world will know if one of our belugas becomes pregnant, by the way. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, this again, we're teaching her to lie horizontally. Because that's her mother, Natasha. Natasha is about 28. And Nico tried to breed with Natasha, but let's put it this way. She sent the flowers and the chocolates back. She's not real interested in him. But belugas older than Natasha have actually given birth, so it is possible for her to become pregnant too. So, anyway, what we've been doing is teaching both of them to lie horizontally, and then we've been taking an ultrasound probe and running that over their abdomen so they get used to the feeling of being able to be examined through ultrasound. So, what are we doing? We're feeding, and this goes on 4 to 6 times a day. And you see the biologists up there with their buckets of herring, mackerel, capelin, and squid. And what they do is they take those whole fish, they've been frozen and then thawed, and they just drop it in the belugas' mouths. And over the course of the day, each of the belugas will get between 20 and 35 pounds of raw seafood. Now, the belugas don't chew their food. They have up to 36 cone-shaped teeth that are very sharp, up to about 1 inch long. They don't have any molars for chewing. So they're like teenagers. Teenagers don't chew their food either. They just bite and swallow, you know. I love teenagers, by the way. I work with them all day. So, anyway, just teasing, guys. But the point is, these guys are eating machines, and they just love food. Some people ask, why don't we have live fish in there? Well, any fish that we put in there will last a good 4 or 5 seconds. So it would turn into a free-for-all, and we couldn't control their diets, so that's why we don't have other fish in there with them. Oh, and that's exactly what you think it is. Yes. Oh, that's one of the joys of diving in there. We have an underwater vacuum, and we get to vacuum up. If you look on the bottom of this exhibit, you'll see little green piles. Those are called beluga leftovers. Oh yes. Also, we spend a lot of time scrubbing here. This green and brown stuff on the rocks is algae. Algae is nothing more than a microscopic plant. It grows really quickly. So if we didn't go in there, we go in here about 3 to 4 days a week, this whole exhibit would be overrun with green and brown slime. So, now the most fun for me, being a diver with them, is listening to them. Because belugas are called canaries of the sea. And we've been able to record 11 different sounds they make so far. And they may make more than that are above or below the human hearing range. Do you speak beluga, by the way? You don't speak beluga? Shoot, I'm looking for somebody who can translate this. I want to play for you some sounds the belugas make. So I'm going to ask everybody, please be quiet, and I'll raise my hand when I hear this. Now the sounds the beluga whales make are not like the long, melodious songs of the humpback whales. These are more like clicks and squeals and whistles. Okay? So here we go, guys. Let's everybody be quiet just for a minute and hear the belugas talking to us. Let's see if I can push the right button. It would help. No, wrong one. Hold on. Here we go. Do you hear that? What are they saying? I keep looking for that Rosetta Stone course, you know, when they say, you know, you can learn Portuguese in 24 hours. You know, you see Michael Phelps sitting by the pool, you know, speaking fluent Chinese in 2 days. Yeah. So anyway, another sound they make is just like their cousins, the dolphins. And I can't wait till we get our dolphin exhibit open at the end of next year, because my wedding ring has dolphins on it. I firmly believe in reincarnation. I think I was a dolphin at one point. So, anyway, I was scrubbing this rock and I felt something hit my leg, and I looked down and there was Maris. And Maris had come down and she turned upside down right next to me. Her head was about a foot from me. And she was talking to me, and she sounded just like a dolphin. She was going, isn't that romantic? So I looked at her. Of course, remember, as a scuba diver, I have a regulator in my mouth. So I went, I had no idea what I was saying. After about 5 seconds, she raised up and she kissed my regulator. Now, folks, we have over 70 volunteer divers. I'm the only one she has kissed. So I feel blessed. Whatever I said, it must have been enchanting. So we're in there about an hour. That's about all we can stand because of the water temperature. And I got out and I ran to the phone and I called my wife. I said, Rosie, I've got good news and bad news for you. I said, the bad news is I've been kissed by another female underwater. Dead silence on the phone. Not a good thing to say to your spouse. I said, the good news is she's 10 feet long and weighs 1,100 pounds. My wife said, okay, you can come home tonight. So we love diving with the belugas. As I said, the only thing we don't like is the water temperature. That's 55 degrees in there. And that's cold for us. After about an hour, we are definitely ready to get out of there. Oh, what else can we talk about with the belugas? Oh, here's a question for you. Are you ready? All right, this is for dinner at a restaurant of your choice. By the way, we're all joining here. Oh, what are you doing there, Nico? That's Nico Armeo. Oh, what are you talking to everybody? You know, by the way, folks, how thick do you think this window is? 18 inches, 14 inches. Well, you guys are good guessers. It's about 13 inches. And weighs just over 23 tons, as a matter of fact. But what's interesting is that when it's quiet enough, you can actually hear the belugas talking through this window. So what I'll do is a lot of times before we open or after we close, I'll come here and stand by the window, and usually it's Nico or Maris, sometimes Natasha. They'll come down and sometimes they'll just hover and look at me, you know, and it's like they're talking. And if I listen, sometimes I can hear them through the window. So they're very vocal, very social, and very interactive with humans. So it's a delight to be with them. Okay, here's my next question for you. Again, for the restaurant of your choice, and we're all...
leafy. Sea dragon.
Take out a 60. You have some extra money in tonics in there, please. No, I would bet it's like 75. Let's see. Okay, 20 to 25 minutes. How deep can they dive in the ocean?
Leaves floating.
2,500 deeper.
Try to crack it open like a clam. That's hilarious. Wow, man.
They like to play.
There's toys down there.
But it stinks, but they like to play. Those two. What's it called? Oh, sleeping. Mira, Jero, ya.
James, stay there when he comes by. When he comes by.
See, now what's the thing? And the news, they got baby otters.
Look at all those toys in there. He likes a plastic cap.
Still scratching. Oh, look at this. There's big.
Just like a kid.
So big.
Buying for thousands of dollars for the toys and he likes the plastic cap.
Come on, you get it. Oh, he's sitting there being cute. Right there. You see one of those things. She's really going to try to Oh, really?
What is that?
Just stand by him. I'll see him.
Oh, yeah.
See him? He's floating.
There's that whale, dude. Look, what are those things? What are those things right there?
See him, Reese? His little tail is just kind of sitting there wagging like a puppy nose.
Look at the toys down there. Oh, that's okay.
It's kind of hard for it to see.
Look at all these toys down there.
Yeah, do you mind what?
Ready?
I'm trying to find one of those blue angel fish.
These are our cuttlefish. If you watch them just a minute, they're related, they're not fish at all, they're actually members of the mollusk family. They're related to octopus and squid. They'll change colors, they'll change textures, they'll not only look like a rock, they'll feel like a rock. These guys are like all cephalopods, they have a real short lifespan, about 2 years, whether they're in captivity or not. If you look down, you'll see these little black things attached to the leaves. Those are cuttlefish eggs. We don't know who laid them, nobody's cleaned them. And they may not even be biased. We know that they were laid last week. Yeah. And if you look at the guy back there on the board, he's darker than these other guys because he's blending in with the board. If I wish they'd go down. This is a good example of the tentacles. They got these.
And it's like them, so
What do these jellyfish do?
They swim.
Why? I can't touch them.
No, you can't touch them.
No, we don't want to get in there.
No, you don't want to get in there, do you?
Well, they're bad. So these are bad to us.
well, they're in the center.
So the big ones are
And is the white stuff in the center?
Cool looking, huh?
You guys want to listen to it? This side over here, alright? Over here, slide your seat. Come here, slide next to me, see if you can see.
I should be a little bigger area instead of just a little area.
I didn't see that
Gloves and car seat.
That's what you're showing them.
There's the school. Whale sharks over there, Leah. Look straight up. Look straight up. There's the whale shark. There's a real shark right here. Look at that face.
You, if you're a certified diver or just a snorkeler, can go on the other side of the window and into this exhibit. So if you're interested in diving or snorkeling here, please see me after I finish my talk, and I'll be happy to give you all the details on that. Well, one of the fun things about diving in here is that I see fish from 3 different oceans, the Atlantic, the Pacific, and the Indian. And if you look at our planet from space, you'll see there are no natural boundaries amongst those 3, and that's why we call it the One World Ocean. It covers about 71% of this planet's surface. Kind of makes you wonder, why do we call this planet Earth? Why don't we call this planet ocean? Now in here we have thousands and thousands of fish. We have about 40 to 50 different species, and of course the largest species in there are the whale sharks. We are the only aquarium in the Western Hemisphere with whale sharks. There are some others in the Eastern Hemisphere, but we're the only one in the world with 4 whale sharks, 2 males and 2 females. And you know what? I really don't like the term whale shark, because I think it's confusing. A whale is a mammal, shark is a fish. So which is it? Are these mammals or are these fish? These are fish. They are the world's largest fish and therefore the world's largest sharks. The term whale just refers to 2 things. Number 1, their size. And number 2, the fact that they're filter feeders, just like several species of whales. Now, how big can whale sharks get? Well, our 4 whale sharks average between 19 and 22 feet. The largest one ever officially measured was 40 feet 7 inches. But we have seen whale sharks longer than this window. This window is 61 feet long. So whale sharks can get huge. But that is the rare exception. That is like saying there are human beings over 7 feet tall. There are, but they're very few and far between. Most full-grown whale sharks are between 18 and about 33 feet. So we wouldn't be surprised if our 4 whale sharks grew about half the length of this window. Now you look at the mouths on those whale sharks, to be about up to 4 to 5 feet wide, and you say, my goodness, they should be eating everything in this exhibit. The truth is, even these smallest fish, now these are among my favorites. These are called porkfish, these little golden fish with the black stripes. They're a member of the grunt family. They're delicious eating, but we don't talk about that here at the aquarium. Anyway, those fish are too big for the whale shark to swallow. Why? Because the whale shark's throat is only the diameter of a quarter. So anything it swallows cannot be larger than that point. And that includes divers. So it makes me feel really good when I'm in there with them, knowing that I can't be swallowed by the world's largest shark. So, what do we feed the whale sharks? Well, we feed them 3 kinds of food. We feed them krill, looks like a baby shrimp, about 1 inch long. We feed them silver sides, little minnows, about 2 inches long, and we feed them gel, a man-made jello that is packed with vitamins and minerals. And by the way, it tastes terrible, because some of my friends tricked me into eating it. They said it tastes like jello. It doesn't taste anything like jello, let me tell you. So we take that seafood mixture, we freeze it, and then we thaw it, and we put it in a bucket at the end of a 10-foot aluminum pole. Turn that bucket upside down in front of the mouths of the whale sharks from the surface. You'll see them open up those huge mouths, suck in dozens of gallons of water along with that seafood mixture. And each of the 4 whale sharks will consume about 11 to 18 pounds every day. We feed them twice a day, 10:30 and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you're still here at 3 o'clock, come on back to this room and see the whale sharks being fed. And guess what? We don't charge you. Anyway, look at some of these other fish. For example, these giant grouper here, these big gray fish, or the 3 great hammerheads that we have in there. Now they have throats that are several inches wide, and these guys are certainly capable of eating just about anything in here. Yet they rarely do. What keeps these fish from eating each other? Lots of extra food, absolutely. Every day, once in the morning at 10:15 and once in the afternoon at 3:15, we pump 100 pounds of food in here. And it comes out of a pipe that runs the entire length of this window. And you'll see this food come up and all of these fish will swim around it and all the way out. So, the fish don't eat each other for a very simple reason. They ain't hungry. Now, every once in a while, you'll see a fish grab something else, but that's very rare. Now, let's talk about some of these fish here. For example, these are among my favorite right here, these giant grouper. We call them giant grouper because these guys can get over 8 feet long and well over 600 pounds. Problem is, we humans like to eat grouper. So these guys rarely obtain their full size, and that's a shame. Because when they're fully grown, they look like Volkswagens. They're amazing. The sad thing is, these guys take about 15 to 20 years before they begin to reproduce. Therefore, they're usually killed before that time, and they're not sustainable. Sustainable means that at the current rate of human consumption, these fish are in danger of disappearing. Sustainable means they can be they're easily replenished by Mother Nature or by humans through controlled farming. So instead of eating giant grouper, we're saying, Please eat fast-growing fish that are sustainable, such as tilapia, mahi-mahi, striped bass, catfish. The problem is, how do you all remember that when you go to the grocery store or to the restaurant? Well, we've come up with a partial solution. It's called our Seafood Savvy program. What I want you to do is when I wrap this up in the next minute, do me a favor, come on down, pick up one of these free cards. Fold these up, carry them in your purse or your wallet. The next time you go to the grocery store or restaurant, pull this card out and look at it. It's got a list on the back. It says good, best, avoid. At the top of the avoid list, it says Chilean sea bass. Why? Because we're eating too many of them. It's not sustainable. At the top of the best choice list, it says Arctic char farm. Why? Because those are sustainable, easily replenished by either Mother Nature or humans.
Let's go. Daddy, let's go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Ocean Voyager Theater. My name is Doug. Kelly and Lynn are up there, my two colleagues, doing a great job of directing everybody. So if you have any questions, be sure and ask them. Both good sources of information, to say the least. If you're standing on the floor with me down here, would you do me a favor, please? Either have a seat on the floor or a seat behind you. That way everybody can see what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes. I appreciate your cooperation. While we're waiting for everyone to get seated, let me announce if you have those laminated...
You might be looking for a dimple. There's one that's bright yellow and bright green. There's a red one and a blue one. I think from this angle you probably see the green one and the yellow one here. And what they do is they hold the dipper out in front of the animals. The people up above are in an inflatable, and they hold that dipper out and move along. They pull themselves along with a rope the length of the exhibit, and the whale sharks follow, because the whale sharks have to keep moving in order to breathe. And our whale sharks eat anywhere from about 17 to 22 pounds of food a day.
That's what they eat. That's
Again, if you're across from me where the exit is, you need to move out of the exit, please. It's a safety issue. You cannot stand against the pillar or blocking the exit, please. Now the actual feeding sometimes takes about 10 minutes. Once you've seen it, you've really pretty much seen it. So if you want to stay and watch the whole thing, that's fine. Once you figure out how it's done, if you want to leave, don't stay on my account. If you want to stay, you're welcome to stay. But it does take about 10 minutes time. Now, how do the whale sharks know where to go? Well, the husbandry staff will stand with that dipper that's on the 10-foot long pole, and they actually thwack it 3 times when it's empty on the surface of the water. And the whale sharks hear that sound, and it's like saying, dinner! And that's where they go. This is Nandi, the manta ray. She is also a filter feeder, but she's already been fed. She was fed earlier today. But quite often, when the whale sharks are being fed, you'll see a great gathering of other fishes, because even though the whale sharks have tiny throats, that doesn't mean that these other animals can't eat the little food as well.
There's a sand tiger shark. Sand tiger sharks look fairly ferocious, but they're very mild-mannered. I used to think every shark was a big ferocious beastie. Not so. Some of them are very gentle. You can see the dark blue tang, the blue tang right here in front of the window. They look dark gray, but if they're in the sunlight, you can see they're actually the most beautiful shades of blue, almost lavender. Again, if you're sitting on the floor, please get as close to the window as possible because we've got lots of those on the ceiling. And there you see green dipper. See the whale shark opening its mouth. It's like a big Hoover vacuum. It just sucks in gallons and gallons and gallons of water. The little tiny animals go down its little tiny throat, and the water comes out those gill slits. They're about a good foot long. There are 5 gill slits on each side. And again, look at that mouth. Oh my goodness. See the green dipper? They just tilt the dipper and keep it moving. Whale shark follows along, sucking in with all of its might. There's the one with a yellow dipper over there on the left-hand side. Again, these are filter feeders, so even though their mouths can be 4 feet wide, their throats are very, very tiny. They can't swallow anything any bigger around, for the most part, as a quarter. So they're eating little teeny tiny animals called krill, little tiny fishes called silver sides, and a nutritional gel. But they don't eat any of the other animals. And they're each trained to eat from their own dipper. 4 different whale sharks, 4 different dippers. They actually started training them to eat from dippers when they were still in Taiwan. We got our whale sharks from Taiwanese fishermen. Please, if you're sitting on the floor, if there's a bare spot in front of you, if you would, please take up the slack because we got more folks coming in. I see some bare spaces. And once you see the whale sharks, if you want to leave, that's fine too. Yes, once you see the whale sharks, that if you want to leave, that's fine. If you want to stay for the whole thing, that's fine. Just try not to step on one another. And if you're sitting down in front of the window, please move as close to the person in front of you as you possibly can.
Okay, let's head out. I'll try to fight the waiters. It's way back up there, I think. Rachel.
You just joined us. The whale sharks are filter feeders. They're eating tiny little shrimp-like animals called krill. They eat little silver-side fishes. They have a nutritional gel. All of it very tiny to go down their tiny throat. They each eat from their own dipper. And they consume about 17 to 22 pounds of food a day. Because these are cold-blooded animals, they don't really need to eat as much as, say, Nico, our biggest beluga whale. Now these animals probably outweigh him by a good 500 pounds, and yet Nico, at about 1,700 pounds, needs to eat 36 pounds of seafood a day. He's a warm-blooded mammal. He needs more calories just to maintain. can be 4 feet wide, and inhaling, just like a little Hoover vacuum cleaner, gallons and gallons and gallons of water, and the little tiny animals. The little tiny animals go down their little tiny throat, and the gallons of water come out their gill slits, which are a good foot long. They have 5 gill slits on each side. It looks to me like the whale shark meat is about over. You can see the little silver mullet up there on the left. They like the fish oils that spill into the water and collect on the surface. They like to eat those.
They open the pipe.
Triggerfish.
And then
Jump the ladder. 500 pounds. Triggerfish and so forth. Oh, there's a permit over there. A permit.
You can follow them, see?
Surgeon fish. It's all there because you have the spines back.
Backwards chilling.
I can show you the spines. Where they come by.
It's nice, ain't it?
Wait a second.
You like it?
Yeah. There's little spines right. You'll see them right by the sides of their